call him Clivey Crazy Cat Corona. He went, "Who are you and what you doing here, kid? Only in boxing can you be in a Sicilian restaurant in Brooklyn."
Yeah, it's boxing.
And an ex-mafia boss walked in. I did Leo's last amateur fight, and he just walked through everyone. He just, it was ridiculous. I've never seen anyone win a gold medal bout as quickly and as easily. Pierce O'Leary, I remember the first time I did one of his fights. What's a fighter? He's going to be world champion one day. Everyone said the same thing, like all my boxing mates. They went, boxing.
Darren Rees.
Hello.
Hello, fellow podcaster. You say yes.
Oh, I am, yeah.
Yeah. You say yes. Queensberry Commentator.
We are.
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
Documentary producer.
That'll be me.
I mean, like, what can't you do, Muggies?
What's the quote? I'm a jack of all, master of none.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
like, are you not getting to the stage where, much like myself, where I'm having like deep, you're obviously a lot younger than I am, deep existential dread.
He's a charmer.
No, you are definitely way younger than me. Like, it's just like, are you not having the thing where you just like, I really just need to do everything at all times, or I need to really just like laser focus?
It's hard because I'm such a creative person anyway, generally. It's so tough to kind of walk away from an opportunity. Like, I get an idea.
Yeah.
And I think, blimey, I need to do something with that.
Yeah,
I can't just kind of walk away from it. But you don't ever get any more time in your day.
No.
And also there's that voice at the back of your head going, might not get this opportunity again. Someone else can do this.
And also the build is always normally more fun than actually the end result.
Oh, yeah.
Like, getting there is like the end of the journey is normally like, all right, I've got to do this now.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to things like documentaries, which we'll speak about.
Yeah.
Kind of like the planning stages of, especially when you're so passionate about like boxing or a subject or a story. Yeah, they're kind of, who could we interview? Where could we do it? What can we speak about? All those bits and pieces are fascinating.
I think we'll start there, actually, because like anyone that's an actual true boxing fan, they've been through the docs, right? And we all know a good doc. We all know a fantastic doc. We all know the top of the heap on the doc list, right? Like, what made you start getting involved with that? Because like that in itself, the second you said documentaries, I'm like, I'll have a little look at that. I'll have a little go.
So the type of documentaries which I've done over the years are audio documentaries rather than visual. I've got a genuine kind of ear for sound and kind of, I don't know what that is. Maybe because my eyesight's so terrible that my hearing is very good. And I used to be a music producer. So years ago, I used to produce music, used to produce kind of hip hop, dubstep, drum and bass stuff, all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
And I did quite well with it. So I used to make stuff which was played on Radio 1, One Extra, on TV shows, all sorts of things. So I had that kind of production background. I knew how to edit stuff, how to EQ, how to compress, how to record, how to use microphones.
I mean, obviously, there's stuff that I would know. Hit me with some tunes. Like, I am a 43-year-old man from E4. Like, I've definitely heard some.
You probably have. You might remember a rapper who's still going now called Harry Shotter.
Right.
So he was massive in drum and bass, and he used to do a lot on One Extra and Radio 1. And remember, Charlie Sloth did Fire in the Booth.
Yeah.
So I produced his Fire in the Booth. And I did all sorts of bits and pieces like that. So kind of that whole sound element and that storytelling with the sound.
Yeah.
What happened is I basically kind of combined those passions of boxing, which we'll talk about, obviously, and music production, and then started to get some opportunities. There was lots of stuff which happened before I started to do stuff for the BBC and, major production companies. But it kind of all started with music production.
I love that. Love that. Right. And the audio documentaries yourself, are we talking just completely all the way through storytelling of the highest order, your view of what happened, or are they involved as well? Or the people you're doing the documentary about, are they speaking true?
Well, so it depends on the subject. Yeah. So I'll say about one of them, which I did, which was one on York Hall. So Matt Christie, who used to be the editor of Boxing News magazine, who I've become very good friends with over the years. Yeah. So I used to badger him for opportunities when I was a bit younger and just kind of looking for a way in. And I said to him, because I started producing the Boxing News podcast, and I said to him, I can really hear an audio documentary about York Hall.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I like that. But you'll have to do it for free because there's no money for it. And I was like, that's fine. That's all
Cool.
good. I can do that. So he basically just gave me free rein to say, hi, I'm Darren Rees. I'm working for Boxing News, and I'm making a documentary about York Hall. So my kind of first interviews for that were with Barry Hearn, with Frank Warren, with lots of different people, legendary, late, great Colin Hart, amazing writers, Wayne Alexander, former European champion, and loads of other different people like that. And then I would just speak to them about kind of their memories of York Hall and kind of what York Hall means to them, the fights which they saw there, and the stories that you got to hear through making that documentary. And I also spoke to a guy called Miles Templeton, who's a historian, boxing historian. Wow. Just kind of when you speak to those kind of, you know the ones of you speak to them and their knowledge and their passion is just insane.
Do you know what? When you speak to them, the knowledge is insane, but it's the detail. Like they will talk to you about something in 1958 on a Wednesday, and some random. They'll tell you the promoter, the time, the level of Adam Smith's like that. He just rips just beyond facts, and it's just almost like I don't even know if you're telling the truth or not. But you sound so like you're backing yourself with this that I have to believe you.
Yeah, well, they live and breathe it.
They do,
and it was exactly the same when I made that York Hall documentary for Boxing News and Miles, and I said to him, "So Miles, like, how did boxing come about when it came to York Hall?" And he just said, well, Darren, back in 1918 and 1919 and whatever else. So these places were bathing pools, but they weren't bathing pools for swimming. So York Hall, for people who don't know, was a place for people to keep clean. It was, a pool which people went into to wash in.
There's still a pool under it now.
And there's still a pool under it now, which is a fact which I didn't know until he told me that. And apparently, not apparently, they did. They used to put boards over the pool at York Hall when they put a boxing ring on the board, and that's what happened. And people used to come along. And he told me a story that one day one of the boards broke and the boxing ring fell into the pool.
Suboptimal. Maybe a little bit of an insurance claim before the insurance was firing up on that one.
Yeah, but just loads of amazing stories like that. Yeah. So, and that's one of the great things about the whole storytelling figures. Everybody's got their own memories. So when you come to a job like that as a producer, when you're kind of behind the mic or behind the camera, in this case, that's where you've got to be good at telling other people's stories and gelling it all together and making it work wonderfully, where people just can't stop listening.
So at what point did you get into commentary then? So obviously, Queensberry, like I've heard your voice and I've seen you a million times, right? It's kind of weird having you sitting next to me now, because it's like I've heard it so many times now. Like, where did that happen?
So kind of there's a bit of a story behind the story, and that is I've been obsessed with boxing my whole life. When I was a little kid, I used to watch boxing with my granddad on the TV. We used to watch all the old fights, legendary fighters over and over again. And
it's always the granddads.
It is the granddads.
It's always the granddads.
Oh, the memories they're just great.
Yeah.
And one particular memory which I've got, and this is the story before the story, is being about 7 or 8 years old and staying up with my granddad till about 2 o'clock in the morning, or he woke me up to come and listen to Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield on the radio. And from memory, it was the one where Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's a chunk of his ear off, didn't he? And I believe it was John Rawling who was doing the commentary for the BBC that night. And the noise and the chaos and just kind of the sound coming out of that crackly old speaker sitting on my nan and granddad's floral sofa, listening to that was like, wow. Like I can vividly remember it right now. So I kind of became a bit obsessed with being involved in boxing from then. Where it actually happened was a good few years ago now. The BBC used to do this thing called BBC New Voices, where they're looking for new voices, new talent for all of their different sports. And what you have to do is you have to compile a recording of you commentating on a football match or a rugby match or whatever sport it is. Obviously, I did boxing. And I went through all the different stages. And what happened in the end is they sat me down and said, we think that you're you're not a new voice. Like, you've got this, because we don't feel like you need loads and loads of training. We don't feel like you need lots and lots of mentoring. We feel like we can give you opportunities.
Yeah.
And they said, I know that sounds a bit mad because you've not actually done any commentating, but that's where we see where you are. And I thought, they're just stringing me along here.
Did you? I mean, do you think the BBC would do that though?
Well,
well, they actually did.
It turns out that it wasn't a load of old waffle, because one day my phone went and this guy called Patrick called me, and he said that I'm one of the producers at 5 Live. We need a commentator for a few weeks' time for Chris Billam-Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain, British title fight, Bournemouth International Centre. Are you up for doing it? And I'll be really truthful, I properly panicked. I went, what, me? What about Alex Steedman? What about Andy Clark, Ian Dark? And they were like, no, like, kind of, we want to give you the opportunity. We've heard you're the man. But that was pretty much just the story, and I ended up doing it. So my first ever actual commentary gig was on national radio, working alongside Steve Bunce, which is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's nuts.
So how did that, like, with because obviously, like, it's Ollie's been on here, Sonny's been on here from WBM. I'm getting geared up to do my first one as well.
Yeah.
How did that go with, like, I mean, because it's one thing if I'm doing it with a mate of mine who's in boxing as well. You're doing it with Steve Bunce for the first time. Like, everyone knows Buncey, everyone knows Uncle Buncey. How was that? Did he just sit you down and say, "Listen here, follow my lead. It's going to be all right"?
Pretty much. Yeah. Buncey's become a bit of a mentor to me, actually, over the last few years. But until the day I die, I will never, ever forget that night.
Of course.
And I remember I'd never been that close to the ring before either. Like, I'd been to so many boxing events, but, sat up in the gods. So first of all, I sat in a seat where I was literally touching distance from the ring, which was nuts.
Yeah.
And the arena just started to get busier and busier and busier. And obviously when you're doing 5 Live, you generally just do the main event.
Yep.
And then my headphones were on and Buncey was kind of steering the show. And by the way, like, you want to watch a pro at work, my goodness, you watch him.
Man,
he had no notes. He literally walked in, he grabbed a bit of paper, just started scribbling down some notes, just looked around, just made some more colourful kind of notes of what he was going to talk about. And then he started saying about, welcome to the Bournemouth International Centre, Chris Billam-Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain. And then before I knew it, both fighters were in the ring. And then he said, and the man who's going to be steering you through the commentary tonight, live on 5 Live, is no other than Darren Rees. And then he just gave me an elbow and went, go on, son. And I was like, whoa, what? And I can remember my hand was shaking. Yeah. It was properly shaking. And the first line I said was, and there are only 3 people left in the ring, the 2 fighters and the referee. And then I just went for it. And it just felt so unbelievably natural.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I listened back to it on BBC Sounds on the way home from Bournemouth, just like goosebumps. I didn't sleep that night.
No, I bet you didn't.
No, it was crazy.
Like, from there, obviously, your first one, a British title.
And what a fight.
And a great fight with Buncey on BBC. Right? Which are the ones that stick out for you? The ones you've commentated on, the fights that have just been like, I will never, obviously, that's going to be number 1 forever.
Yeah.
Right? The first is always the one. But what other ones are you there where you just like, I'm living the dream?
Do you know that you're absolutely bang on. That will always be the number 1 for obvious reasons. And I don't think it's necessarily fights, but it's more fighters.
Yeah.
Because you see people and you're like, wow, they're unbelievably talented. Yep. So like Pierce O'Leary, I remember the first time I did one of his fights, and what's a fighter? He's going to be world champion one day. Yeah, he is going to be a proper, genuine, unified world champion, no doubt about it. So I remembered commentating on one of his fights and thinking, I'm commentating on a future world champion here. Stephen Cairns, another Irish kid who people will be very familiar with, I'm sure. So it's more the fighters where you're like, I'm a little part of their history here.
That's interesting.
Especially when you do their debut. Like, I didn't do their debuts, but when you do their debuts, that's a big moment.
So then do you then get, obviously it is a job at the end of the day, and you do have stuff that you are going to be much more passionate about than others, is the only way to describe it. So then when you then see a fight, because we all fans, every single fan on the planet, we all have our favourites, right? when one of the faves is Pierce, for example, right?
Yeah.
When he's on, is there just that little bit more connection with what you're saying? Do you think there's a little bit more energy?
Yeah, and it all comes back to that kind of theme of this podcast already, is the kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really big on that, because they're not just fighters, they're people, and there's been a journey which has got them there. And when you know their story a bit, and you've, I don't know, maybe spent a little bit of time with them, like Pierce, for example. Like, I hosted a press conference for Queensberry a couple of years ago. I think it was Conor Quinn versus Conor Kelsall, and me and Pierce shared a car to and from Belfast City Airport. And I had a really good chat with him, and it was just kind of having that chat and then kind of knowing a lot more about him and how much it meant to him, that you do get that connection. And you do feel like you're part of that story a bit more, because they will watch those fights back. People will watch those fights back.
They do.
And my voice will be on those fights forever.
Forever.
Yeah,
That's it. That's exactly it. You're linked to the moment.
Yeah, it's the best job in the world. It really is.
So because one of the biggest things that we've learned from this pod, right? So there are fighters out there that you'll expect them to be on, like, the second you put a camera on them, they go into like complete stoic samurai. I'm not gonna do anything mode, right? The ones that you're linked to, like, how many times have you seen, like, you get their story, you get everything that you need to be like, this is gonna be like this is gonna be a star, and then they just can't. They can't step it over. They can't get that personality out. They can't show who they actually are for God knows what reason. Or the other one is that they just don't want to show it because they think it's like secret. Like, I want to keep it to myself. I don't want anyone to have an advantage. I don't want anyone to know that I'm doing this. That kind of stuff. Yeah. How many times have you handled that? And it's just like what you expected it to be.
Yeah, to how they actually end up being. Yeah, it's strange. Like, some of the people, like, you watch them fight before maybe even talking to them.
Yeah,
and then they step out of the ring, and then you go to interview them, and they are so different to what you expected. Yeah. Like, not in a bad way.
No, it's just different.
Yeah, like Charlie Senior, right? So so Charlie, I've done two of his last 2 or 3 fights. Charlie Senior, really. Yep. Great style, Olympic bronze medalist, just fierce and just a violent man inside the ring. And then you spend some time with him. I did co-coms with him on Box Nation a few weeks ago, and he is so different to what you'd expect him to be like.
Yeah.
And that's what's also fascinating about these characters, especially when it comes to boxing.
Yeah,
is kind of how they can be so different inside those ropes to outside of it. And you must have experienced it as well with many of the people you've been about.
100%. There are people where you're just I don't want to say intimidated, but there are going to be people where you just think they're going to be a little bit of a lunatic, right? There's a bit of tension, and you think at any minute it can go a little bit left, and then they're like the chillest, sweetest ones, and then the other ones where you're just like you have a very unexciting style. You're not a knockout artist. You give none of this energy whatsoever, and you have a conversation with him. You're like, Jesus, a fucking sociopath. Like, he just is doing this to hurt someone.
And there are plenty of people like that in boxing.
Yeah, they truly, like, you're like, oh, you literally have shark eyes. Amazing.
It's wild. And do you know what? Most boxing people, or most boxing fans, don't get to see just even they see a fraction of the characters. Like, I speak to Steve Lillis quite a lot, who used to be on Box Nation, and he's a matchmaker, and we've done loads of work together over the years of the podcast and stuff. And the stories which he tells me, because he's in Ireland today, matchmaking a show there, and just the little lines he drops in. He goes, "Yeah, I've got my 19-stone Russian fighting tonight," and he's got fighters from every part of the world. And I'm like, please tell me he speaks like a Bond villain. He's like, no, he speaks 6 languages. He's got several degrees, this and the other.
Like, well, okay, no, but he looks like he's murdered a bear and coming to kill me too.
Yeah, I know, that's it. And we always say it. And John Evans at the ring as well. Me and him always say, like when you sit in a coffee shop or whatever, and do a bit of people watching or in a pub. boxing is like that constantly. Just the characters. Producer Sam will know that kind of just when you sit at ringside, the people just walking around you and stuff, and the conversations you hear, it's one of the many things which makes the sport so wonderful.
But then there's the other ones as well. Like, I mean, my favourite recent example, Josh Boazzi, right? Josh Boazzi, he's got that stoic statesman, like soldier of Christ, like completely dedicated to the sport, all this other stuff. Front of old Silly Willy, it went off, and you saw what makes Josh. You saw what makes, because like up until that fight for me, he hadn't. Obviously, he's banged people out. He's a great talent. He's a fantastic athlete, but at no point had I personally seen that sort of venom that you see in fighters. And like, I'm really good mates with his manager, like, and that's been the case for a while. And then you get the right foil in front of you, and then it just comes out, and it's just kind of a little bit like, oh, what was that? Yeah. Can we have more of that?
It's the first time I think we saw that in his last fight, wasn't it, with Boazzi?
Yeah.
Because I interviewed him in the ring after the decision was announced, and there was obviously lots of people who disagreed with that decision, that he had have his hand raised, and I looked at him in the eye, and it was a very, very different Joshua Boazzi looking back in my eyes that night. Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit worried. It definitely was one of those, and I had to ask him the question, otherwise I wouldn't have been doing my job. And I said something like, there were people in here and ringside, Josh, who didn't feel like you won that, and he just looked at me.
The tone of his answer was very different, wasn't it?
And he just said, I won that, and that's that. And I was like, okay,
yes, you did.
I have to ask you that question.
Yep.
And that is your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, but like he's my favourite example of it, right? In the current, off the top of my head, he's my favourite one, because like, that interview there, I vividly remember you asked him that, and then it was like, all right, yep. Anyway, the show goes on.
Moving on
immediately.
Do you know, on the same kind of topic, actually, it's also quite interesting when you get to speak with people who used to be boxers later on. So a good example is Tim Witherspoon.
Oh, yeah.
So when I made the documentary about Don King, which obviously we'll have a chat about, I went to Philadelphia, and I went to Tim Witherspoon's gym.
Yep.
And I sat down with Tim Witherspoon, and what a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah.
What he was like in his prime when he was coming over to Wembley Stadium and the press conferences and all those other stuff in the late 80s, or maybe it was early 90s, I can't quite remember.
He was the one that had a roll around, wasn't he? Was he the one that had a roll around with Herbie Hyde?
Possibly. But he was a proper boy, you know.
Yeah,
like
proper boy.
Yeah, and now...
Mate, no one that's a Philly boxer from that, or a Philly fighter, or has any time in Philly is chill.
Oh, God, no. And he's so, like, he is so different now. Yeah. You know, and you know, it just goes to show that people do kind of mellow with age, don't they?
They have to. I mean,
yeah.
Look at Josh Taylor.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, Josh Taylor, like, you could have a laugh with him now. I hear you do a good impression of Josh Taylor, by the way, but we could tell him. No. Okay, yeah. Well, apparently, let's see how chill he is.
Yeah. Do you know what? And when I was producing the 5 Live Boxing podcast for Buncey, it was Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall too.
Yep.
And I'd heard that Josh can be a bit sharp when he's making weight,
spiky,
and a bit spiky on fight weeks. And you know, he wasn't rude to me by any stretch of the imagination, but we did an interview with him, and I very, very quickly saw what people were saying on fight week.
Yeah,
my goodness, he had this edge about him, proper edge about him. Like, yep, we're going to stay clear of you.
Yep.
I've worked with Josh a couple of times now, ringside at Queensberry, and he's great. You know, he's a proper laugh. He's so much fun to work with, and he's really good at that job.
He is, and he's funny as well.
Yeah, he is. He's comical.
But like, he's another one. How many times have we seen him have the like forehead to forehead push shove, grabbing someone by the neck, like the face-offs? Do you remember the face-offs?
Yeah.
Like, I've got a picture of him on my phone. There's no one ever to look more crazy than that man. And then after the fight, it's just like, yeah, it's all right.
I know.
No big deal. And you're like, that makes you crazier that you can just turn it off.
Yeah, no, I spoke to him about that, because obviously he had a fair few. Obviously, the Catterall one was the most high-profile one. People forget the stuff with O'Hara Davies as well. You know,
that's the one, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah.
And he demolished him that night, didn't he? Yeah.
I mean, Inland Programs weren't exactly nice to each other, were they, in the build-up?
No, I was there for that. I was a fan sitting in the stands at the O2 Arena for that. That was a great fight, wasn't it?
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
Who's your favourite co-commentator, and what makes a good co? Because you're much more to quote the Americans, like the play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's funny actually. Some people get it really, really naturally.
Yeah.
I've been really lucky to work with lots of the Queensberry fighters and so on. Josh Taylor, Zach Miller, Nathaniel Collins, the Noakes brothers, all sorts of different people, and
the Noakes brothers are wild, aren't they?
They're hilarious. Those two. They are a couple of characters. The two people who I've done it the most with is Nathaniel Collins and Zach Miller. And because I think they're just naturally really kind of people anyway, they're just good at because what it is just say what you see and having a conversation. There you go. And just having a chat. Yeah. And they just kind of bring their boxing knowledge and that kind of people personality with them. And then it just works really well. So I think that's what makes a good co-commentator is someone who's a people person who generally likes a chit chat anyway. Yep. And especially if you put boxing into the mix, then they're going to be, they're going to be great.
That's perfect. I think I want to talk about your Don King doc because we early doors used to do history episodes because it's like the easiest, lowest hanging fruit. Things were in lockdown. There was no like fights some weeks, so you would just like do some reading and tell your version of it. Right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Don King one, because he was such. We're not going to speak ill of him because obviously we will still get sued, even though he's 115. Right?
Yeah, allegedly.
We all know that, allegedly. Everything allegedly. But go on.
I mean, that was probably one of the greatest experiences in terms of like work stuff that I've may ever do.
Yeah.
That was another. It was a global documentary for BBC Sounds, and I got a call. Buncey was the person who put me forward for it, and I got a call from the production company who were producing it, and this guy called me up and he said, "Is that Darren Rees?" And I said, "Yeah, that'll be me." He said, "I heard you're the man." I said, "Yep, you can say that again." And I said, "How can I help you?" He said, "Well, I'm from a company called XYZ, and we're making a audio documentary for the BBC, and it's about Don King." And I was like, "Oh, Don King." And he went, "Yeah, most people say that." And I said, so what's the plan with that? And he said, "Well, I want you to produce it." And I went, "Right, okay." I said, "Well, what will that involve?" And he said, "Well, Steve Bunce has written the scripts, and we've got an idea of people that need to be in
scripts, does he?
Yeah, he wrote the whole script for the whole thing, the whole story of it. He's a man of many talents, is Buncey." And he goes, "The only thing is," he goes, "you'll have to do a bit of travel." And I said, "Okay, cool.
What shame.
Well,
anyway, good.
Where have I got to go?" He said, "New York, maybe Las Vegas, Philadelphia,
fuming,
probably Mexico City."
Oh.
And I now think that this is a wind-up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, yeah, here we go. There's this Buncey winding me up. And it was all genuine. And I basically signed on to produce this documentary. And who was going to be the narrator of it, alongside Steve Bunce, was Lennox Lewis. So what a moment that was. Not that long ago, well, quite a little while ago, I was sat with my granddad on those floral sofas watching Lennox Lewis fights, and now I was going to be the main producer producing this documentary.
Also, giving it, Lennox, can you speak a little bit louder, please? Lennox, can you actually do your job properly, please, mate?
Your voice up, Lennox.
I'm your boss now.
Yeah, by no chance. Yeah. So there's a couple of good stories actually, and I'll tell you one of them when I was making it. So when I was in New York, I got a tip off that a particular person was in New York who didn't like Don King. Perfect. Now, for those who don't know, Don King is a notorious boxing promoter. Yeah. Allegedly ripped a lot of fighters off. Allegedly did a lot of bad stuff. There is stuff which has been written about, which and proven, which he has done, and he's done a lot of stuff which is questionable. Which has made him.
I believe one of my favourite ones was that allegedly, you have to say allegedly.
Absolutely.
He was charging Mike Tyson $1,200 a week for towels in his own house.
Yeah, there was all sorts of things like that, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So I got a tip off that this particular person, and the names will be changed or remain silent in the story for purposes which will become clear.
Yeah.
And so I called this person up and I said, "Hi, I'm Darren Rees. I'm working for a company who's making a documentary about Don King for the BBC. I've heard you're in New York. Any chance that I can interview you?" And he went, "Yeah, all right." And I was like, "Oh, that was easy."
Touch.
He said, "I'll meet you at my favourite Sicilian restaurant in Brooklyn."
Cool.
And I thought, okay, cool. He said, "How are you getting?" I said, "I'll just get the
subway.
The subway. That's what it's called there, isn't it?" And he said, "When you get there, make sure that you get an Uber or a taxi." And I thought, that's a bit of a funny thing to say.
Yeah.
When I got there, I soon realised why he said, "Make sure you get an Uber or a taxi." It was in kind of a very it was
Up and coming
place, part of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I stood out like a sore thumb, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
As you know, this English bloke with nearly ginger hair and glasses.
Yeah.
So I'm making my way through to this Sicilian restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I get to the restaurant and I call the guy I'm meant to be meeting.
Yeah.
And I say, "I'm here."
Yep.
And he says, "Oh shit." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I completely forgot and I'm so sorry." He goes, "I'll be about 2 hours." This is classic boxers, by the way.
Yeah.
So I said, "That's all right. I'll wait. I'll have a bottle of Peroni and I'll wait for you to arrive."
Yep.
So I've got all my kit. I've got everything. And people are walking in and they're looking at me.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, who's that guy over there who certainly isn't from here?
Yeah.
Why has he got a load of BBC microphones and cameras and everything like that? And they're just intrigued, which is understandable.
Yeah.
This is where the story takes a turn. These two boys, old boys, walk into the restaurant. And I swear, Rob, they look like they just walked out of a set of Sopranos or Goodfellas.
Oh.
Genuinely. They had the long trench coats.
Let's go.
They, like, scars. One of them had scars on his face.
Yep.
With jewellery. The hair was slicked back. And he walked up to me, or they both did, and only one of them spoke. And I swear this is exactly how he spoke. He went, "Who are you and what you doing here, kid?" I said, "Hello. My name's Darren Rees. I'm working on behalf of a production company making a documentary for the BBC." "Oh, okay. What's your documentary about?" Just spoke just like that. And I said, it's about the old boxing promoter, notorious villain, Don King. Allegedly. Don King, did lots of terrible things, kicked a man to death on a Cleveland street.
That one's true.
Shot a man to death in his premises. He allegedly did this. And he went, "Oh, okay." He said, "I know Don King."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. And he went, "Who are you here to interview?" And I said, "Who I was here to interview." And he went, "Oh, I know him. He's a friend of the family." It was all this kind of stuff. And he said, "Look after yourself around here, kid." And he goes, "If you're eating, have the shrimp with the mozzarella. It's fantastic." And I was like,
"Oh, two, please."
I will absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to do what I'm told.
Take you up on that offer. Right. So the guy who I'm meeting arrives at the restaurant. He's a very famous person.
Okay.
So he walks in, everyone's shaking his hand. The two
Yeah.
guys who had just walked up to me, they've shaken his hand, give him a cuddle and a kiss
Yeah.
on each cheek. It was kind of one of those scenarios. He sits down
Yeah.
and I start asking him questions about Don King, who I know he doesn't like, who I know he is very fond of talking about particular parts of Don King's story.
In my head, I'm hoping he says no comment, no comment, no comment. After making you wait 2.5 hours.
He might as well have. He basically just was giving me nothing. So I'm really starting to give my questions some fire now.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Don King allegedly is a bad man. He kicked a man to death on a Cleveland street, which is well documented. He did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. And he's looking at me and he's shaking his head. And I'm going, what on earth's going on here?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the bloke who come up and spoke to me, the one who looked like he jumped out of Goodfellas set, he just abruptly got up and walked out the restaurant with his right-hand man.
Yeah.
And the guy who I'm interviewing, it looked like the weight of the world fell off his shoulders. He went, "Oh," and I went, "What's up?"
Yeah.
He went, "I'm really sorry about that, man." He said, "I had to be really careful what I was saying there." And I went,
"You didn't say
"What?"
nothing, Geese."
I went, "Why?"
Yeah.
And he went, "Do you not know who was sat next to you?"
No.
And I went, "Not a clue, mate."
Yeah.
And for the purposes of this, we'll call him Clivey Crazy Cat Corona.
Yep.
Yeah? He had a name like that, by the way.
Of course.
And I went, No idea, mate.
No, mate.
So he Googles him, Clivey Crazy Cat Corona. Yeah. Shows me a picture.
Yeah.
It's a mugshot.
Yep.
This guy is a genuine Italian mafia boss.
Yep.
Just escaped a 40-year prison sentence for all sorts of things. For, you don't need to use your imagination too much, do you, to imagine what this kind of character was or what he may have got up to in his life.
Yeah.
But I'm still confused. So I say,
well, why couldn't you say nothing around him?
I went, okay.
Why did you invite me here?
I said, he's a bad person. I said, why did you have to be careful what you were saying?
Yeah.
I swear up, he looked around the restaurant and made sure no one was listening. And he leant in and he went, he's a good friend of Don King's. And I was like, why did you invite me? Oh my goodness. I've just said this, that and the other about Don King to him. I've just been beefing up my questions about Don King to you. This, he's a dangerous man. He's just abruptly got up after I've just finished saying one of my questions and just disappeared. And I couldn't believe it, honestly.
Out of 10, how much did you feel that you probably weren't going to make it back to the hotel?
Oh, I thought there was going to be a horse's head on my pillow when I got to the hotel. It was.
I think that would have been all right because you would have still got back to the hotel. Because immediately I'm thinking I can't leave this place. I've got to do FaceTimes to everyone.
But do you know what? Right, I spoke to loads of people about it when I got back to the hotel. Yeah. You won't believe what's just happened to me. And everyone said the same thing. Like all my boxing mates, they went, "It's boxing. Only in boxing can you be in a Sicilian restaurant in Brooklyn."
Yeah, it's boxing.
And an ex-mafia boss walks in and he just happens to be an associate of Don King.
Of course, it's boxing.
But
it's literally, it's all literally like...
It's some story, isn't it?
You're just like... If anyone just says, oh yeah, it's just boxing, you're just like, no, I definitely thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
I definitely thought... Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've had to leave all of the equipment there.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be fuming with me.
Nothing left.
Yeah. Literally, I'm just in deep trouble right now.
Yeah.
But did he answer the questions afterwards?
He did answer.
Somewhat.
He did somewhat answer, the questions.
Now, my question is why did he want you to meet him there to answer these questions? And if he was going to answer these questions not well...
I think he had every intention of giving me the gold.
See Clive
and then he's walked in and saw Clive Crazy Cat Corona and just thought, this isn't good timing. But he obviously couldn't tell me, by the way, that's Clive Crazy Cat Corona. He's a good friend of Don King's.
Yeah.
So he just tried to kind of, I guess, steer it. And then it went the opposite direction. But that is something I will never, ever forget.
Yeah. I think if that situation ever happens again, you mitigate your risk at all costs, and you demand to meet at a Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks in
a Starbucks,
a nice part of London.
Yeah, Starbucks in anywhere on the planet. Starbucks,
just not his favourite Sicilian restaurant.
Yeah, a major transport hub, an airport, a train station, a bus station, anywhere that is heavily CCTV'd for your own protection.
Do you know what? There's a little add-on to this. So the day before, I'd been in Wall Street.
Yep,
and I was on the top floor of a building in Wall Street, and I was interviewing a guy called Joseph Spinelli.
Yep.
Former FBI agent who investigated Don King in the 1980s. And I called him and I said, have you heard of Clive Crazy Cat Corona? Yep. Of course he had.
Of course he has. Of course he has. He's like, of course.
Yeah, I know.
Like they've got them on. I mean, we've all seen the films.
Yeah,
they're on the board.
He was probably on his board years ago.
Top left, number 4. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Did he just say, why are you asking? And have you had an interaction with him? You're very lucky to be here. Yeah?
He didn't really ask any questions, really. He was just like, no.
Himself the second at the hearing the name, he just went, I don't need it.
Yeah. No, but what an experience. Just got to sit with amazing people. Just sitting in the gym in Philadelphia with Tim Witherspoon, and I met and had some lunch with Paulie Malignaggi. I got to spend, and it was for, what you got to remember as well is, first and foremost, I'm a boxing fan.
Yeah.
I'm a boxing nut. I absolutely love the sport. I live and breathe it.
Yeah.
So then I'm sat in restaurants with these people, and it all came through, and it all starts with music production. And I go into schools and I do talks and stuff on like my job in, being a broadcaster and working in the media and stuff.
Yep.
And everyone says, how did you get into that? And I say, well, it actually all started as a teenager in my room producing music. And those skills enabled me to put my passions together, which put me in a position where I got to do really cool stuff like this and get paid for it.
And get paid for it as well.
What on earth?
Mate, what was lunch with Paulie like? Like he's on my list of like the top. If they said you got 5 that you can pick, maybe one of them comes. Paulie's on that list.
Oh yeah,
he's the man.
Just the knowledge is ridiculous, and just being there, done it. So honest.
For me, best pundit.
Yeah, he's great.
Fantastic pundit. You put him
really good.
Yeah, like even in the like the Andre Ward kind of seat vibe, Paulie says it all. There's been multiples of fights where before Paulie got whatever happened with Paulie, like he would say, I think this has happened to that person, like his cheek's gone. And then you would see a round and a half later the swelling, like the eyes and the knowledge of that ridiculous. Man is unreal.
Yeah, there he is. He's an amazing pundit.
Yeah.
And I guess going back to one of your previous questions about what makes a good co-commentator is someone who obviously can talk, which is really important, and is a bit of a people person. But if you've got that knowledge and that experience, he can literally manipulate any subject and make it work for whatever question you've asked.
Beast.
Because he's been there, he's done it, he's got the t-shirt, the socks, the trousers and everything else.
They're probably Valentino as well, aren't they?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Absolutely Valentino with a matching chaps. Kids.
Yeah, top bloke.
Should we have a little chat about last night? Leigh Wood, Josh
Weekend.
Yeah. Right, well, I mean, to be fair, very good card.
Yeah, it was a good card,
Head to toe, very good card. Lovely to see Leo Atang. Yeah. Right? It's nice to see more than just one British young heavyweight talent flying the flag properly. Feel a little bit sad for the middle tier. Like TKV's our boy, but he doesn't get anywhere near the attention that he should do. You know what I mean? But like Leo smashed it, just beat some geezer up. Like bless him.
Yeah, and with Leo as well. So before I did Leo's last amateur fight, so I got to go to Colorado.
Yep.
And I was the voice of the World Under-19 Boxing Championships for Team USA and World Boxing. And there's a couple of kids who are coming through now who were in those finals. John Joe Carrigan, who won gold there, and Leo Atang.
Yep.
And he just walked through everyone. Who just it was ridiculous. Yep. I've never seen anyone win a gold medal bout as quickly and as easily as Leo Atang. It looked like he'd done 30 seconds on the pads. So I knew he was going to be good. And then last night, he was ferocious. And
is that how he looked, isn't it?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he really, really let his hands go last night. And kind of, I don't know. It's just another exciting British heavyweight, isn't it?
He's another one like what you're saying there. Like he's a good-looking guy. He speaks well.
Yeah.
He's like everything about him. Well, and then you hear him in interviews, and he seems like a genuinely nice, sweet. Yeah, and I'm rude to say kid, but he's 19.
Right? Yeah, he is. He's a teenager.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. He's a teenager still. And then the second that bell goes off, he's looking to take someone's head off. And then that bell, it's done, and he's just like, yeah, man. Yeah, these things happen. Whatever.
And I'll tell you why I think he'll be really good is speaking to his coach Ash. Is he's very coachable.
Yes.
So there's lots and lots of fighters who are they look like they're listening. They're doing lots of this active listening, and then they go and do something the complete opposite. And the coach is going,
"What do you do that for?" Literally not what we said.
Yeah. Where by the sounds of it, speaking to the team around him, he is so good at taking those intricate details and then just putting them into action almost immediately.
He's got star potential.
Yeah,
is what he has. Like listen, Moses, as the other superstar in British heavyweight boxing, Moses is a phenomenal talent.
Yeah,
he is crazy. He isn't a star in the crossover popular vote. Like that's the hard thing about it, right? Where he would have to be a totally different human being for him to be that. Where I can see, as reductive as it sounds, I can see Leo having an Under Armour advert.
Yeah,
I can't see Moses. I can see Leo being head to toe in Nike. I could see Moses having Nike, but it's a very different thing. It's like Leo's got that AJ effect.
Yeah, Leo is. I don't know. Like he comes across a lot more, I guess, outgoing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know how
like
much.
Moses is scarier.
Yeah,
By fact.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if you said which one do you want to punch you in the head, I'm not picking Moses.
I don't want any of them, to be honest.
I don't want to either. But like at least I know it's done and dusted. I think Moses might enjoy it a little bit more.
Moses, I don't know how much he enjoys like the media side of it.
Hates it.
I get that impression, and that might change, you know, as time goes by.
Like compared to when he started, like because I did the Better Behave yard weigh-in, right, and I had to do like the floor clipboard idiot role, going to get people to be interviewed, and I tried to get Moses, and I just said like he was there with his brother. And I was like, Moses, like BBC, BT Sport, like Queensberry, like all of them want to talk to you. And he just looked at me cold and just went, no. But that's like 4 years ago. Like now he's going to do it because he understands that he has to do it. But still, it's not natural.
No, it doesn't
fights it.
It doesn't come natural to him. And I know obviously he did have an amateur career, but when you look at like AJ, for example, like those Team GB guys and girls, they are media trained to the hill and back. So they really kind of get that kind of exposure to all the media training, etc., which, you know, is vitally important. And I'm just trying to think of, like Delicious Ori, who obviously retired. That was a
vibe, wasn't it?
Yeah, just kind of out of nowhere. He just, pro boxing wasn't for him, but. He's another example.
I respect that.
Yeah, I do.
I respect that. Like he came out. I mean, obviously, you called Delicious. You're a giant animal of an athlete. Like, and it just weren't for you. One and done. See you later. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want this.
But like you chat to him, Lewis Richardson, those Team GB athletes, they've just kind of, you put stick a microphone or a camera in front of them, and they're off. And it's a really important part of kind of getting places, I guess. But with Moses, he is so able. He's so good. He doesn't need it.
It's the Bud Crawford.
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Up until very recently, you listen to Bud on an interview, and it's just like, I don't really care that you just bought new tyres, mate. Like it's that interesting. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like his talent speaks for himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Moses will be that.
He doesn't need it. He will get the deals for who he is.
Yeah.
And kind of what he represents. He's a bit of a silent assassin in ways, isn't he? Yeah. Because like he doesn't say much, but then kind of, I've been extremely lucky to be literally on the ring apron watching him. But when he fought in Glasgow, and he fought that, I can't remember the guy's name now. He was like an ex-American.
The NFL dude.
Yeah. The
one who he knocked out with like stepping back shots, brutally.
You watch him in clips, and you watch him on the TV, and then you watch him in person, and it's ridiculous.
Yep.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yep. Just like what he maneuvers and what he does, those tiny little details. Yep. He is very, very good. And lots of people will say, yeah, but he's not fought anyone yet.
Oh, come on.
Like, I mean, look what he did to Dillian White.
Yeah.
And Dillian White is a tough man.
Who does that to Dillian?
No. Not like that. Not in a round. Not
in a round. Yeah. It doesn't happen. Right?
So it's gonna be exciting. And listen, Leo Atang and Moses Atama, they're gonna have to meet at one point, aren't they?
It's the new AJ Fury, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be.
Hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully that's what we get.
Yeah. And again, people will say the same thing. Yeah, but Leo Atang's only fought 5 journeymen or 4 journeymen or whatever it is so far.
But he's 19.
He's
Moses
showing
is
the potential.
22.
Yeah.
23.
Give it 3 or 4 years, and
let's let it cook.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Co-main though, Ishmael versus Fawaz.
Yeah.
Right, what a turnabout.
I know. Ishmael was kind of cruising it to start with.
Yeah.
And then Fawaz was just
turned it up.
Just turned it up. I can't believe he's 37.
Fawaz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he said he was 37 years old, like kind of sign waits for no man afterwards, I was actually shocked. I was stunned. I thought he was in like 20s. He'll love that.
If as far as I remember, he was selected to be part of the Rio team.
Was he?
Which was what, 2016?
Yeah.
I mean, that's 8 years ago in itself. He had a load of issues. I think he lost 18 months due to the immigration stuff.
Yeah. Some story.
Yeah, 37. I mean, he's maybe turning 37. No, he's just turned 37, but he's definitely in his late 30s now.
Yeah. No, he's definitely is.
His story will be him starring as his own as his own superstar.
He's
his own documentary. You got to do one on it. Surely.
Oh yeah,
surely.
He's the type of character that you could do a story on. Definitely. He's like there's so many of them. Like there's not so many of them, but there's some really really good ones.
Yeah.
One I really want to do is Johnny Tapia. I'm desperate to do a documentary.
You watched the HBO documentary on him?
I have, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Showtime,
it was,
whatever it is.
It was I think it was HBO or Showtime. 50 Cent's production company were behind that, and I've been trying to get that over the line. But yeah, for us, it's a sort of character who could be like that. I'll tell you a story actually. At the British Boxing Board of Control Awards in December last year.
Yep.
Fawaz went up to Moses Atang and he said, "Moses, can I get a picture?" And Moses was only joking, and he went, "No, you beat my mate." I can't remember who it was. It must have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you beat my mate. And then he was, "Oh, come on, man!" And then he had a picture of him. Yeah. But like Moses is, like, isn't a world champion yet. But that just goes to show. You should have seen how many people walked up to Moses Atang that night and asked him for a picture. Yeah. I'm talking like kind of legendary boxers from years ago who won British titles.
All of us know exactly what he is. All of us know that he's the second coming. Everyone knows that he is. If you're a boxing fan of any level, you know that he is not just special. He is probably a generational talent times 3. Like who can do what we've seen so far? No one. My point about the Ali, the Mike Tyson thing, that he's not that in the sense of the character,
it's
the person.
Character,
like he's like an Ivan Drago, isn't he? Like he barely he says 4 words to everyone else's 15. He'll just bang you out. Like he's not there to chat. He might just look at you and go, "Oh, mate," like. It's
going to be fascinating, isn't it, to watch? Watch the next.
He doesn't
few years.
need to promote and he doesn't need to sell because he is that good.
Yeah,
but then that doesn't have your nan at the bus stop saying, "Oh, have you seen this boy?"
No, but so whenever, because we obviously with Queensberry, you get to go to all the different cities and stuff. We've done Manchester, Liverpool, Nottingham, Glasgow, etc. And whenever I get into a taxi, and they always say, "Oh, you know what you're doing here?" And I say, "I'm here for the boxing." Then almost everyone's got a little bit of boxing knowledge. And it's always interesting to know which fighters and which people kind of the general public are aware of.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to a taxi driver in Glasgow when I was last there, and he was like, "Who's kind of the next kind of big thing when it comes to the heavyweight thing?" Because Tyson's pretty much retired now, isn't he? And Joshua's this and the other. I said, "Oh, have you heard of Moses Atang?" And he went, "Is he the one who keeps knocking everyone out?" And I said, "Yeah, that's him." He went, "Yeah, I've seen him."
But that's my point for now.
Yeah,
right? That's my point for now, which is like, especially with a name like Moses.
Yeah.
Like at this stage, we all know that there's someone coming. We all know that like the public knows that there's someone out there. We've seen enough press about him. He's probably had a little bit more shout. But until there's going to have to be a moment where he becomes the crossover.
Yeah.
He has to be that one where they talk at you about Moses, and the second they hear boxing, they associate with Moses.
Yeah, and I think when the world titles come,
that's when
it's when you start getting a bit more press in national newspapers, and you got the likes of Donald McRae writing about you and all those kind of. That's when the general public starts to really know who you are.
And before we completely derail, Leigh on like a very disciplined, boring Leigh Wood, which for me and my heart, perfect. Like I'm a Leigh Wood fan. Like I don't want to see him having rows, right? It was a fantastic performance. Completely washed him.
Yeah, it was almost a bit bizarre, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah, I kind of Josh. It looked like Josh didn't really get going at any point.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to a friend of mine this morning, and I said I don't know if that is the case or if Leigh Wood was just far too good in kind of in every area. But Josh in his post-fight interview said. Like sparring was great and his camp was great and generally no excuse at all. And he said he felt like he felt on fire and he was gutted afterwards. I looked at Josh Warrington and I felt for him. And what must that feel like for a fighter when you think of the nights?
I'm undefeated, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't know, would you? Of course. But you think of like walking out of stadiums like Ellen Road as a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
Like. you could almost read what was going on in his head when you looked at his facial expression, and I wonder kind of if he thinks like that is the end of the road, and maybe it wasn't the defeat, or maybe it was kind of that thought and feeling, and maybe it's time to hang the gloves up. Only he will know that. But Leigh Wood was outstanding. But he actually sounded in the post-fight interview the person who was more likely to hang the gloves up, because he said, I don't know if this is, he said something along the lines of, oh, this might be the end of the road or whatever, didn't he? I don't know what it was, but I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. I don't know if there's, what did he say? He said, I don't know if this is the last one, but if it is the last one, this is a great one to go out on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then the interviewer asked him about the Nottingham Forest Stadium. I'm not football.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't remember
it.
what it's called. And he's like, it'd have to be for the right one, for the right one. He didn't jump at it like he's done before. Like normally he's on the mic and saying, let's get the stadium. Eddie, book the stadium. This time it was just, he has had such a resurgence in the past 5-6 years of his career. Let's be honest, like he was British level at best.
Yeah, exactly. And he got beaten at British level as well,
exactly.
Didn't he? Who was it he got beaten by?
Was it Jazza?
I can't remember that. But
anyway, that
I remember him and Jordan Gill were like sharing they were flatmates and whatever else.
Sharing a room in Harlow whilst Jordan went to Ben. They had to basically like, Ben, please take him on, and like it's changed his an absolute sensational resurgence.
And anyone who's been lucky enough to be at a Leigh Wood fight in Nottingham, the atmosphere. Honest, I don't know how this will sound, but genuinely, when we did, it must have been Leigh Wood versus Anto Kukachi. Oh. Was that in Nottingham? I think it was, and I was actually a bit emotional.
Yeah.
Honestly, like the atmosphere, the hairs on the back of my neck was stood up, and I was sat there ringside thinking, wow, this is incredible.
There is no other sport that can compare to that. When the energy, the atmosphere is like that, and you have some sort of care or connection for the fighter, there's nothing like you. Ball sports don't touch it.
Those moments, isn't it? Yeah. It's like when Andrew Kane turned it around a couple of weeks ago in Liverpool. He'd been dropped twice with body shots by that seriously tough Mexican, and he looked like he was in utter agony, and you could see it. He was in utter agony. And then to turn around and do what he did, and the noise in that arena when he would just when he got the job done. Yeah, it's just, that's what makes the sport so great.
Wardley in Ipswich as well.
Wardley in Ipswich.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Wardley at the O2 was pretty special.
Yeah, that was
big, wasn't it?
That was.
What do you think with not just the Conor Ben stuff with Zuffa, but Zuffa now, as we now have a major new player in the game? What are you thinking with it? Because it's obviously they're starting. They're not starting like a top tier. They're not starting like a small promoter going small hall route. They've got their own small hall. It's in their own facility that they're doing. That they have it. Yeah. Everything is manufactured to perfection. With a bank balance.
I can't get my head around it, to be honest. It's bizarre because,
are you pro or con as a very rare not boxer that's a boxing fan? I think to the level that I am, I'm still kind of dabbling whether I'm all right with it or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to see how it's going to play out for the first. Where I'm confused and where I'm kind of sitting on the fence of it is, what you heard was it was going to be a bit of a boxing league, and that the structure would be very similar to the UFC, and kind of fighters would be paid a particular wage or whatever, a fee for kind of the level fight they were in. And then you see Zuffa sign Conor Ben, which is just a whole kind of tin of worms in itself, isn't it? And then it's reports of him getting £15 million for a single fight. Yeah, and it kind of goes against everything which TKO, who own the whole Zuffa stuff alongside Turkey El Sheikh.
But that's the interesting thing as well, because originally it was TKO. It's TKO Group. Yeah, but now it's like very seamlessly sort of dissolved into, now it's Zuffa Boxing. Right, because the original stuff was TKO Boxing. There was a TKO belt. Do you remember that? That Dana and Turkey fell out with? I can't remember who it was. Someone spoke ill of the belt, and they got in trouble. It's just a little bit odd. And like you're saying there, what is it, 10 mil sterling, 15 mil US for one fight for Conor Benn, right? I said to Sweet Sammy last night that I either think it's all not rigged. I think it's all, everyone knew it was going to happen. Everyone knows they're all got their Riyadh season badge. Everyone knows it's all this whole thing. And then we'll see Zuffa versus Matchroom 5v5s, etc. That kind of stuff. And that's when the league starts to generate. But with Conor itself, Conor's not a world champion of a traditional belt, right? He hasn't been there yet.
He's not even won a British title.
He hasn't won a British title. He hasn't even fought for one of the big 4.5 if you can't count the IBO. So he is also a massive star on the highest point of his profile after the Spurs fight. Have him fight for the Zuffa belt, and all of a sudden you kind of have those pop fans who know him from Spurs, and now he's got the Zuffa belt. Now they get a little bit of brand recognition here, and they're doing it 31st of May in the UK, aren't they? Their first Zuffa show.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what was on all of the stuff, and like a pretty major UK carrier. It's not on DAZN, and then we've kind of looped back round again, isn't it? It's like DAZN now sits as the home of boxing, except for Zuffa on its own.
I'm so baffled by the whole situation. When that news dropped that Conor Benn had signed with Zuffa Boxing, I was genuinely blown away. I messaged some different people in boxing and I said, "Is this AI?" Because that's what it looked like. I thought there's no way, because what Eddie and Matchroom had done for Conor over the last couple of years, is, you know, everything with him proving his innocence, and Eddie had allegedly lent him, you know, or loaned him hundreds of thousands of pounds, and he kind of talk about fighting someone's corner. My goodness. And then to see him do that was just like, wow. But
that's why I almost feel like people knew. That's why I almost feel like this is not pre-planned. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I'd say all pre-planned and all pre-done. Because like we've gone from him having the biggest win of his career at Spurs, 65,000, massive pay-per-view, massive ring card, Eddie walking him in, like they've been like this, and now they're not. And it's just like, he went short a couple of quid. He only lives up the road. I see him all the time raging up and down in his 911s and his rollers and stuff like that. Like, it can't just be money.
No.
It can't be.
That's what I mean.
Because he's got to be worth.
It's so... It just, none of it makes any sense, does it? It really doesn't make any sense at all. And yeah, I'm kind of waiting for somebody, whoever it is, to go, got you. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think that's coming.
Be that.
I don't think that's coming. I'm genuinely, I'm still in a bit of shock with it, really, which sounds a bit ridiculous, but I like, you know, I live and breathe boxing now.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky that this is pretty much my full-time job, other than a couple other kind of producer type stuff, bits and pieces. I speak to matchmakers, managers, fighters, trainers, you know, fellow podcasters, etc. all the time. Yeah. You know, you hear things, and boxing's a wild sport. It's wild, and the stuff which goes on it's the wild, wild west, isn't it? That's what they say. But I think that's why I sit on the fence with the whole Zuffa thing generally. To answer the question, is because I can't see where it's going. I can't see what they're trying to achieve with it. I can't see how it's all going to work out. And do you know what? With humans, we're creatures of habit. We know that we've got the WBA, with WBO, the IBF, and the WBC, and we kind of know how it all works.
Do you know what? We know that. We know that, and this is where I think it goes. I think it goes on to, you know, the things that have been bandied around all on Graham and things like that, is that it goes on to Sky. Right, Zuffa Boxing UK shows go on Sky. Right, Sky have that. They have their own belt. I mean, like, most people don't care about those, other than it's cool belt. Right.
Yeah.
I think we're in the Matchroom situation again, where they had the crown on Sky. I think Zuffa probably has that for a bit. They might nick a few more big UK talents.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
That's going to be the thing to see who they take.
Because when you see like some of the writers like Dan Raphael in the US and some of those other big names, and they're saying, "Oh, you were stunned by the Conor Benn news. Just wait and see. You just wait and see what's coming next." It
wasn't Andy Ruiz that shocked us, was it? Let's be honest. That wasn't one that shocked us.
No, I wasn't. Like, falling over that one.
But then, like, objectively, as a fan and as someone that you've already seen Tyson with his Netflix deal, he's on Netflix on his next fight. Would you be shocked to see him jumping over? I would be stunned to see AJ leave Matchroom because I don't think he can. That's never going to happen. You know, I wouldn't be that surprised if you saw Usyk go to Zuffa for the right money, for the right everything. Because he's already been in off the belts. He's already won them. He's undisputed twice. Like, it means nothing to him.
He has completed boxing.
It's a fact.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. Yeah,
that's going to be the thing. Who do they get, and what do they do with it? Because what do you do with Conor? If you've just spent $15 million on Conor, who do you have him fight on your platform?
That's what I meant. I think that's what makes a lot of boxing fans like us uncomfortable, because we just can't see how this is going to play out. We can't see what the plan is.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because we're creatures of habit. But you're right. And also, with all the respect in the world, Conor's a good fighter, but I don't think he's a great fighter.
Not 15 mil, is he?
No, he's not.
Not 15 mil one fight.
He doesn't beat Shakur Stevenson. Nope. He doesn't beat Ryan Garcia. He doesn't beat. I don't think he beats any of those guys, to be honest. And
him and Rolly's a good fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
Him and Rolly's a good fight. Him and Brian Norman's a good fight. Just for the fun of it. Devin washes him.
Oh,
Shakur washes him
completely.
I mean, him and Crocker was a good fight. I was up for that one.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I wonder how they might prove me wrong. I think they might have misjudged their decision when it comes to kind of signing Conor. I think a bit of that was a bit of politics as well, and a kind of
spiteful move.
Bit of a spiteful move. Yeah, I get I don't get it, but I can see what's happened with that.
So back in the older MMA days,
when
the UFC when they started, they had, I don't know if you're an MMA fan at all, but what they had was the UFC was first, right? Then they had all of these upstarts, Elite XC, Strikeforce. Dan Goosen had one for a bit. Like they had all of these other ones. And they all got money behind them because of the success of the UFC. And then one by one, Dana had this tombstone made. If you Google Dana White tombstone, he had a tombstone made in his office, and he would add all of these rival organizations to this tombstone until they were all gone.
Wow.
That feels like what's happening now, but 20 years later, and in boxing.
Yeah, and the thing is the money which they have got is insane.
Yeah.
And you what you can't do is you can't knock a fighter for taking more money. But where, in my opinion, Conor has gone terribly wrong with this, if this is what we how we see it, is the way that he's gone about it. Like, it would be one thing.
Double downing on the villain, and again, it's going down the villain route again.
But going back to my previous point, is where have they misjudged this? Are they thinking that Conor Benn is a really, really liked superstar in boxing? He's a very, very well known fighter. How likable is he? How many people in the UK are actually going to put their hands in their pockets to go and watch him?
But this is my thing, Daz. Right? You don't have the resources and the power of TKO, Zuffa, and Turkey Al Sheikh, and not have done your DD. You have not done done your research. You've made a $15 million investment in a single person for a one-shot deal. Whatever they're planning to do with it, they have to have gone through all of it. They wouldn't have just gone, oh yeah, he's worth it.
You'd expect them to, wouldn't you?
I can't see how you wouldn't.
Do you know what? Frank Smith at Matchroom made a really good point. He did an interview with, I think it was with Coogan on IFL, and he said, listen, what our business is, what we do, is not defined on one fighter.
Yep.
They've got over 100 fighters. He said, we've got 10,000 people in Nottingham tonight. We've got 10,000 people in Phoenix next week, etc. And that got me thinking, actually, Zuffa, I know it's only early days, but they are going to have to sign so many high-profile names to kind of get anywhere near what Matchroom and Queensberry have done.
And develop them.
And develop them, and be in the right places. And kind of, it's not an easy gig just filling up an arena. It's taken the likes of Frank Warren and Queensberry 40-something years to get to the point where they're exceptional. Same with Matchroom.
I mean, even then, you can't control the other promoters nicking amateur talent of note, giving them the deals, sorting them out. They would have to, you have to develop the next generation. You can't just take over this gen and hope for the best. I'm very interested to see how it goes.
Oh, it's going to be properly fascinating. It really is. I can't wait to just see how it all unfolds over the next 2 or 3 years, and maybe it'll become the norm. I don't know.
Daz, I want you to turn to your camera, and I want you to just plug every single thing that you are and do.
Just go for it.
Go for it. Just this is it. This is your X Factor moment. I'm going to pull my trousers up to my armpits, Simon Cowell style.
You're not going to stop me and go, thank you.
I wouldn't do that.
Which one am I on? This one here?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. So, away from boxing, I also make the world's biggest kids and family football show, Football for Kids. It's listened to in 127 countries, millions and millions of times a year. And it's had lots of high-profile football people and celebrities and all sorts of stuff on there as well. And I tell the stories, the lives and journeys of all the different characters from football. I've got a North American version of that called Soccer for Kids, which is exactly the same Football for Kids, but aimed at North America. And off the hype of Luke Littler, I've also now got Darts for Kids as well. So, yeah.
We've got
yeah. Do you know where that came from?
Go on.
Barry Hearn. Sat down with Barry Hearn. Yeah. And obviously he's behind all the darts and Matchroom and everything. And I said, I'm going to do cricket for kids. I'm going to do rugby for kids, F1 for kids. And he went, boy, you need to do darts for kids. Yep. And that's where it come about.
We all watched the Matchroom documentary, the Netflix thing. I think all of us were pretty shocked how much power there is in snooker and darts compared to boxing.
There's more money in darts than there is.
That's what we're.
Than there is in boxing.
What's going on here?
Let me tell you a little fact which Barry told me.
Go on.
More people applied for the tickets for the World Championships at Alexandra Palace this year just gone than people applied for tickets for Glastonbury Festival.
That's insane.
That's madness, isn't it?
That is mental. Like,
you think
who are these people?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like they were in the Hydro the other day, the OVO Arena in Glasgow. There's 10,000 people there. There'll be O2 Arena soon 14,000 people per night.
I mean, it's a good night out.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's really good.
Sam, should we go? Oh, yeah. I'm up for a night out on the darts.
Yeah, the darts is great.
I'd like to go like Circus Tavern though, where I run the risk of getting stabbed. But
you would go to the classy
place. Yeah, you go to the nice ones first.
Yeah, no, it's a cracker. We should do that. Organise that one.
Just sort out, Darren. Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
Mate.
Thank you for the time and the opportunity. I watch your show, so yeah, it's good to be on.
Lovely to hear, man. Thank you.